welcome to today's episode of the Group Therapy Podcast. Today we have the man behind Ramen Toys. Ramen Toys is a boutique style classic action figure seller. Tell us about yourself, sir.
Hey, Paul, thanks for having me on your show. Yeah, this is Ace Ramen Toy. Well, my name is Noel, right? Noel. I'm from Singapore. And, I started Ramen Toy in 2021. And the whole idea was to, participate in the third-party realm. And we created, we had many ideas for the 80s, hence our name, retro, artistic, modern 80s nostalgia. We're into the retro stuff. We are, adding an artistic and modern take to it, right? And it's obviously 80s nostalgia. So Ramen Toy, right? Obviously that actually came back about a little bit later on, because initially I just had Ramen Toy as my idea for the brand, because this story goes back a little bit when I was much younger, in the year 2000, when I was in Japan, and I'm a big fan of Macross stuff. Macross, right? Robotech.
Oh yeah.
In the US, as you call it. So there was a sculptor in Japan, and his brand is Tanmen, Tanmen. So I was wondering, what is Tanmen? So I actually asked him. Well, not through me. I don't speak Japanese. So I asked my Japanese friend to ask him, what's the meaning of tanmen, and the guy just said it is soup noodles, right? So tan in Chinese is tang, which is soup, and men, obviously noodles, right? So it just hit me that, oh, the guy likes soup noodles. That's why it's called himself the names as tanmen. So I actually really like ramen in Japan, right? I love going to Japan. That's where all the vintage stuff we can find. So I've been just toying about the idea, and they say, okay, it could be just as simple as calling yourself what you love, right? We're doing what we love. So Ramen Toy. And also because back then I had the idea that, to make a bowl of ramen, if you actually see the chef, right, it's not as simple as just throwing some things together. It is, the effort and time taken to make the broth.
Oh yeah.
I think many ramen enthusiasts would know that, there's many failed stories of, ramen cuisines and chefs, because they couldn't get the recipe right, the taste wasn't there. And then of course there's many successful brands, because the soup just was, chef's kiss, right?
Yes.
And each different soup has its own unique taste. And so the time taken to make the soup, the way the ramen chef would present the noodles, he would, doesn't just throw the noodles into the bowl. They will take the chopsticks and then sort of like lay it down, and then they will lay the condiments nicely. So that's the presentation. So that is the whole epitome and analogy of us, in the sense that we take time to perfect our craft, and then we present it nicely. So there's a lot more to just the name ramen, right? It was thought out like that, and then in the end, I sort of tried to make it more relatable, because people are asking me why a noodle name. Well, it's not just a noodle name, right? If you know the story behind it, and then I came up with the acronym after. So enough of that rant about a logo. So yeah, Paul, go ahead.
There's a really good story behind it. So I have to ask you, because I've got this going now, since you're a Macross / Robotech fan. Is the most practical mech ever in Macross? Because it seems like the Valkyrie is technically, and the the other mechs and stuff like that, they seem like they could really exist. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's my theory, is that's the closest we'll get to actual real mechs, is what they have in Robotech.
Well, actually, no, because in my opinion, well, even though the creator, Carl Mori tried to
Mhm.
show how it could happen, but real physics and scientists and engineer will tell you that no, it's not possible.
Well,
It's far from it. It's far from it. Yeah. But anyway, it takes good comfort to know that at least it's somewhat possible. Yeah.
yeah, because I mean, they have the big ones with the big walking ones with the guns and whatnot. I was like, man, those seem like those should be in war now. But um, so I've been following your toys for a while now, and I just discovered them by accident on Instagram. And I believe the first thing I saw was the great white Porsche sub that you were working on. Now, did you just decide on that because it was never a toy to begin with, or was that some brainstorming that you're like, man, we need to make this? It's because it'd be a nice, cool toy to have.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We have set out on this journey not to only, bring back to present day the stuff from the 80s, but also to sort of bring to life those stuff that never was. So much like the 80s Commanders, we tried to bring the John Thunder, right, aka Apache Commander, to life. Great White was the same idea, right? So in the whole mask collection, the shark was never produced, and there are many speculation on why that was the case. But just maybe it was just too difficult to produce as a as a toy. After us going through the whole rigorous process or try to engineer the transformation and stuff like that. I mean, there's many customizers, that has
Yeah,
done this long before we came on the scene.
yeah. There was one about 10 years ago. I
Right,
remember seeing it, and it wasn't practical. It was all popped together,
right,
and then you would pop it all apart and put it back into the car, pop it all back together. It was a sub. It just didn't transform,
right.
and that's why I never owned one.
Yeah, but there was one particular custom that actually did the periscope pretty good. So that was, I mean, we give credit to good work. So I thought that was pretty well done. Apart from that, everything of these were, as you said, custom products. So it's not exactly a working toy. So we decided to do something that is as close to a working toy as you may, so
Yeah,
they can have something to put alongside your collection finally after all these years, So we have to make sure that we get it right. So that's the whole idea behind making the Great White.
yeah, and it looks beautiful. I mean, it looks cartoon accurate. It's nice. I haven't seen one in person yet. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Are you going to have it at PowerCon next
Yes,
weekend? Okay,
yes. Next, is it the
Friday.
following week or the next week?
Next week. It's the Friday, Saturday, and
Oh
Sunday.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I'm actually gonna be leaving on a plane on Monday. Um, our time is the 8th of August. That's actually Tuesday. Yeah, but Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll be off. So today is Friday. I only 2 days as of this recording is Friday. I got 2 days left before I actually head out to start my journey to make it to Columbus, Ohio.
Yep.
Yeah, so definitely looking forward to this event to connect with the fans and just soak in the environment of a US con. I think it's the only the second time I've been to a US con apart from San Diego. Yeah.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. I'm because I live an hour and a half away from Columbus.
Oh,
My goal is to make it there. Also I own my own business and all that stuff, so that comes first. My going to conventions comes second, unless I'm going to a convention to make money, and then that's number one.
if I
Um,
may just ask, is the museum for the US Air Force somewhere near your place?
it's about 40 minutes south of me, so it's
Oh,
almost right
okay.
between
Right.
Columbus and yeah, it's
Okay. So, okay.
yeah, I
I
drive
could be
by it all
going
the time.
there.
Yeah, it's a really nice place, really cool
Right.
place. My wife and my kids have gone several times. I haven't gone in forever, but they go all the time. So
Dayton, right? It's in
yeah,
Dayton.
Dayton. Yep.
Dayton. Okay.
Yep.
I'll
It's
probably
Wright
go.
Pat Air Force Base. So
All
you'll
right,
be
I'll
at
check it out.
the Air and Space Museum there. Yeah, it's a great place. So I gotta ask, when it comes now, because you're redesigning heads to make them more character accurate. I can see it in the back there. I see your
Oh, do I?
He-Man.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
does your He-Man have the new head or the original head hanging out back there?
Definitely the new hits. Yeah.
Yeah, I got those in a while back, and I was going to be like, oh, I'll just keep one. I sold out, and I'm like, crap, I got to get more. So now I got to. I was hoping to come to PowerCon get another head so I could place the head on mine.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we'll be selling verse 1 and 2 at PowerCon. So yeah, come on down to
Yeah.
get your hits.
Well, you're doing the Aces. Uh, the that's pretty cool because that's
Aces of
uh
Aviation.
Aces of Aviation. Yes, I couldn't
Yep.
remember off the top of my head. Aviation there for a second. And now I know you've ran into some problems with that. Have you run into problems with anything else?
Well, see, the thing is that it's I again, I could be wrong,
Yeah.
but I don't think that the IP holders are actively policing the web to look for infringement
Mm-hmm.
of the IP. I believe everything has to be reported, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, I could be wrong, right? I mean, we could just be the result of policing, right? The rights holders are always looking around for you know, third
Well,
party items without license.
I know
Or
that Tom Cruise is really particular, and he does not like action
no,
figures, from what I understand.
that we know, right? That we
Yeah.
know because if you can actually license Tom Cruise, then Hot Toys of all people would have done it already,
Yeah.
right? The king of making figures would have done the king of movie stars, right?
Yep.
So that we understand, okay? But again, we are trying to create the 80s nostalgia. We're trying to bring, you know, we're not a huge company. We are just myself and another guy, you know. We're just trying to make some stuff, but we're not trying to make it as like unpainted, you know, resin recast. We're making real tooled products,
Yeah.
right? So it takes a lot of it takes a lot to make it. I mean, it takes like the real company's effort to make what we're doing, but
Yeah.
we're not a big company, you know. So what I'm trying to say is that, you know, although we're small, we're not using smaller production. We're not using lesser tooling. We're not using like you know, it's all whatever that we're using is used by the industry. That's what I'm just trying to say.
Yeah.
But having said that, you know, we are just trying to provide pockets of collectors like myself who wants to have a figure of our beloved idol, right? And yes, pending that is against uh laws of a person's likeness on all these things. I mean, yeah, there are laws, but they're also the gray area. They're also interpretation of the law, right? I mean, again, was Robin Hood wrong to steal from the rich to give to the poor, right? Yes, he's wrong, right? But would the poor think that he's wrong?
No.
I mean, suffering and the rich, you know. Again, we could go on a different tangent here,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but what all I'm trying to say is that what we're doing is so small. We don't even fathom to sell more than 1,000 units of the figure because we don't even know. Because when we first put up the prototype of the figure, there was basically silence. Nobody said, "Oh, wow, great!" You know, it's like who? It was like there was like 2, 3 shares, right? Compared to the Marshall, we have 100 shares. You know, we have like wow. There was it was so silent with the with the Maverick that I thought, maybe we might lose money on this if we can't sell 1,000 units. I mean, and you do the math, right? You know, we can't be making a lot of money on one figure.
No.
So if you multiply it by at least 1,000, it's not going to be enough to cover the tooling for the
Yeah.
whole body.
Well, you're running
Yeah.
injection molding, right?
That is right.
Yeah, I worked in that for years. I kind of have a little bit of a background in it. I worked in a plastic production company. I was a mold setter. I was the guy that put molds and put them in machines to do them. And you're right. The amount that it costs to make the tooling, and then your after you put into your labor, the parts, the plastics itself, everything. I couldn't. I mean, I'm from my point of view is I'm doing this from the States, and I couldn't imagine you could make a whole lot of money off of this at all, because I mean, just the tooling has to be astronomical. And if you're running 1,000 pieces, I have, you guys are phenomenal if you're doing that kind of stuff on that small of a window of what you're making. That's crazy. And like I said, man, I have all kinds of respect for you coming from the plastics background, that they were always complaining about the price of fixing molds, and I couldn't imagine making molds. So you and like I said, this is the States. I don't know what it's like over, because you're in Singapore, right? Is that where your factory's at, where your production is? I mean,
No, I'm from Singapore, but I'm now based in mainland China.
okay.
Yeah. And let me just walk the audience back a little bit, Paul, because you mentioned that you're a tool setter. So were your tools the ones where you can't actually carry by yourself, right? You got to use like a pulley,
Yeah, you gotta
right?
get cranes and stuff like that.
Yeah, because it's so heavy.
Yeah.
Right? So that's number one. And number two, well, it's not exactly astronomical in terms of the cost. Obviously, the ramen racer is more expensive than
Yeah.
a Aces of Aviation tooling. But if you look at the Aces of Aviation tooling by itself, it's not astronomical. It's expensive if we're just going to be making 1,000 pieces. That's why the whole idea is that we have to make it like the 80s Commanders, where we have one body and we put out a set where the body is the same. It's all about amortizing the tooling. So you have your Mattels doing the He-Man, which is basically the same buck, right? But of course, there's different hits, there's different harness, different stuff. But there's about 60% or more of the same tooling.
Yeah.
So there was at least the same tooling for 80s Commanders. But if you look at it again, it only had the body as the only part that was the same, because all the weapon systems are different. Nobody shared any weapon system. The helmets were all different for the second run, right? The first one, of course, all the helmets were the same. So as you can see, there was definitely a little, but not a lot of amortization on the first project. Now, if you look at the Aces, then it's now more amortizable, because the whole flight suit is the same, the helmet is the same, albeit will color it different. The only thing that's different other than that is the head sculpts.
Okay.
So the whole idea was to, first of all, put out this one figure, and hopefully it would gather enough of interest and buyers so that we sort of, reduce our tooling costs, and then we would move on to make the generic pilots. But since the first figure does not see the light of day, then we just have to change the plans to bring about the generic figures into the fray, and then offer it as we have it now, the Ace of Aviation Wave 1, which is three figures in a wave, and then we definitely brought the price. You can see the price is not like $99.95, it's $69.95.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes.
Yeah. Well, that is, you're right. I guess I've gotten so used to the new toys where everybody is different, every mold's different, everything else. You're right. You go back to the 80s. I mean, I got He-Man figures sitting over there, and I got the Mattel, because Mattel was the king of that. Because you had the Secret Wars figures, and those were all the same body. Most of them had the same arms, sometimes same legs, and they just all interchanged to change the head. But yeah, I didn't even think about that. But the other one I'm really impressed by is your Marshall and 3-0. Those are looking amazing. I'm one of the few people I know that even knew Brave Star existed until recently. Um, and I do a Saturday morning cartoon show, and I say Saturday morning, even though some of the cartoons are not Saturday morning cartoons, but I do it on Saturday morning. I give an X amount of cartoons and I let people see them, and then I host them like you would have back in the day in the 80s. And one of the
Nice.
big cartoons that everybody seems to really like now and people forgot was Brave Star. And when I saw that Marshall figure, I thought that was just awesome. And then your 3-0 was amazing. Um, and I'm not gonna lie, I still think that is the weirdest dynamic between a hero and his sidekick, is the fact that he rides around on his sidekick.
Right.
um, and I've got to say this before I get too long. I have people who ask, and I'm asking this. I am a big fan of Black Star and Jason the Wheeled Warriors, and we need somebody to bring those back. um, or at least make accessories for Jason the Wheeled Warriors. So you just pop new weapons in and stuff like that. Make weapons packs. Uh, um, now the ramen charger, that, I mean, that's
Ramen
scary.
Racer.
Ramen racer. Yes, sorry. That is one of the coolest ideas I think I've seen in toys in a while. The fact that you have your GL model, your FF model, your GR model. Um, I'm trying to remember the
Yep.
fourth one.
BL.
BL. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh, these are great. And then how did that come into fruition?
Well, again, the credit is not all mine or ours. It's again the community's feedback.
Okay.
All we wanted to do was to create something from the failed HasLab for the audience and the fans who wanted the item, right?
Mm-hmm.
So albeit is a licensed Marvel Legends, project. We couldn't get the license, obviously, and we don't want to really mess around with. I mean, yes, we're doing third-party stuff, but as you can see, clearly there are some things that is more risky in terms
Mm-hmm.
of ramifications than others. So Marvel, obviously, very big brand. Disney, very, very high chance of getting problems. So that was on our mind. But again, I like to try everything. So having seen the failed Engine of Vengeance, and having seen at one point there was at least 7,000 plus backers, and then it fell to like 5,000. The idea was, there are people that want this, right? Or something like this, based on the many YouTube videos that I watched, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were saying that just, I'm buying it for the car. I don't care for the Robbie Reyes and all these things. I want to get the car. So, and then some said that, oh, it doesn't even look like a Charger, So there's a lot of comments going on. We picked out and filtered all those comments to come up with what we needed, the ingredients to make this thing. And the whole idea was, or rather, the way we digested and comprehended the whole situation is that the collectors want a 1/12 scale vehicle. They want it to look like a vehicle, and that's it. Some don't care for the flames, so we went to work, and we thought that, with the height of this thing that failed, with it, and it's still fresh in everybody's mind. Maybe it's time to just cast a net to see if we can get how many of the 5,000 backers from our little idea. So we went to work immediately. We shared some 3D renders and came up with a prototype. And then along the way, customers were saying that, why don't you make it interchangeable, right? So this was something that we actually saw the comment. We had no plans on making things interchangeable. We just wanted to put out a car. That's it, right? And then as we went along, okay, so this was an idea between me and my team.
Mm-hmm.
That instead of just doing the charger with the flames, we could actually have certain parts to make it into the BL, the FF, etc. Right? So if you look at our history of feeds, we initially put out like 4 different cars, right?
Yeah.
So the whole idea was that if you don't want the so-called one with the flames, you can just get a generic one with this grill or this headlight, and it's like a menu. You have a menu of choices, right? Not just
Yeah.
pepperoni pizza. You have many choices, so at least you can choose. And then from then the customer said, I don't want to buy 4 different cars. I don't want to buy 4. I want all 4, but I don't want to buy 4. Can you make them like interchangeable? So that's when it evolved into interchangeable. So yeah, we are always evolving at the same time. Nothing is ever casted in stone. We are always like, if this doesn't work, let's and it's not pivot. The word is pivot. People like to use the word pivot, but we're not actually pivoting. We're actually evolving. We are adjusting. We are changing course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're making you're making course corrections. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And yet again, that is from what I've seen so far with your mock-ups and stuff like that, that's going to be amazing. That's and the idea that it took, you guys stepping and go, maybe we should just make it interchangeable and interlock, that's neat. That's a neat idea. And I, as a collector of toys and stuff, that's one thing I've always liked, going back to when I was a little kid. I remember, I want to say it was a Bigfoot truck toy, and you could interchange the tires and the gas tank. You could do all that stuff, and I remember loving that as a kid. If I would have had the charger, that's all I would have probably played with as a kid. I'd be like, look, I can make this, I can do this, I can. So I got, what is the toy that you're the proudest of working on so far?
Wow. Proudest of. So tough call. It's Racer, Great White, Gullwing,
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
that Gullwing is looking really good, and that's a shame on that one. This is only one run of that. Then we got to switch it up, right?
Yeah. So well, the whole idea is that we never actually intended to do an exact same run, for reasons because we don't want customers who came in early to feel that, oh, I should have waited. There's no rush, right?
Yeah.
The whole idea of collecting is to let customers support the project. And by supporting a project means you got to come in and support it early and not
Mm-hmm.
late. Just like me, for example, we have no support for the Apache Commander, the Land Drone, the Phantom Foil. So when there's no support, it just means we can't move forward because there's no funds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, we are a really small company, and these toolings are very expensive. It's not astronomically
Yeah.
expensive, but it's
Yeah.
expensive, and we are not yet amortizing the tooling, except for the 80s Commanders, another run that we did last year, and that was it. Everything else you can see is unique tooling. The Quicksilver, the Monstar, everything is unique tooling, right? So what I'm just trying to say is we do it one run, we don't reissue, so that customers know that what they have in hand is unique and valuable in that
Mm-hmm.
sense, right? If there is any rerun, it's got to be different, and that's what we will go by every time. So the second run of the Gullwing will not feature the very beautiful and I think valuable tempo print. A part of collecting toys is that you want to have the tempo print, right? The tempo print is just one of the most uh, fascinating things you can get on a toy, on a model, on a figure, because it's not a decal, it's not a sticker, it's paint, but
Mm-hmm.
it's paint that is done so precisely because it's print.
Mm-hmm.
And we've shared the video of how the tempo print was done. You know, one of the aspect, the most difficult part, which is to print the purple and then the gradient and then the grids and then the lightning bolt, right? So that's a 4-step printing process only on one part. So that is obviously something that's going to be missed, but we have to do it because we have to make it different.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, making it different also made it the same. Why do I say that? Because now we are going to make it more like your real, canner where you got it as a kid. You have to apply the stickers yourself. Okay. So by doing that, we don't think we have lost a lot. Rather, I think we are gaining two sides. Okay. And at the same time, we are being reasonable and will reduce the selling price of the Gullwing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we came up with the original price, which people thought were some people thought were too expensive. A set 170 US as the retail price. But as I mentioned this many times, we come up with the retail price based on a lot of factors, right? Some of them would be, again, the price of the tooling versus the quantities that we're going to be producing
Mm-hmm.
versus the discount that we must give to the resellers. So that's
Yeah.
how we came up with the 170. And again, we always want to give our B2C, the customers, the collectors, the best possible price, which is 30% off that SRP during the early bird period. So the Gullwing was available back then for 117, right? And
Mm-hmm.
many collectors snapped that up. And some were late to the game, but that's just life, right?
Yep.
So we have people buying it at 170. Okay. Now with the new run, it's not going to be 170. I think it's more going to be around 150 to 160. Okay. As the retail price, we're knocking that off. That means we're knocking a minimum of 10, a maximum of 20 US dollars off the retail price. Now, why is that so? Because number one, there will not be a blister tray. There will not be a flap window. There will not be magnets to attach the flap of the packaging. Now, these things do cost money, right?
Oh yeah.
Any day, a window box is going to cost more than a non-window box.
Yep.
There's the plastic involved. Any day, a blister will cost more than a non-blister. Okay. That's why action figures back in the day had a card and then the small little blister
Mm-hmm.
versus the whole blister, right? These are all actually, if you think about it and you walk it back, it makes sense, right? So there is no blister, but it'll be packaged in the original Kenner sort of a corrugated cardboard way, right? So you already know what the Gullwing looks like, so there's no need to flip open the lid anymore to see it. So we thought about that. We say it's now safe to actually conceal the Gullwing in an opaque box.
Yeah.
And then we have the stickers, and then the stickers would have an option. Either you can apply it to look like the toy with the lightning bolts, or you can apply it without the lightning bolts to look like the cartoon. So it's a win-win. And then for the first release, because we already advertise the wing cannons as cartoon accurate, which means that the extension part is red, and then the cannon itself is silver. Now we can have a chance to go back and make the whole thing VEC metal, just like the toy. So, you are not like, oh, I'm not getting the pet printing. Oh, I'm not getting the window box. Don't think it that way. think it as, yes, you've missed that, and if you can get it in the secondary market from a reseller, I'm sure there will be. Good luck to you, but we don't rerun it because we have to preserve the bulk and majority of our fan base that would not be wanting a reissue. And there's a second piece which can now be something that you can look forward to. It is its own unique features, and we're hopeful that the original buyers can also partake to support the second run if they want to. That's all. But the second run majority is for those people who missed out. We've had lots of inquiries about when's the next run. No, there's no next run as in a reissue, but there's going to be a run that's uniquely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same molds, but just slightly different.
Yep.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, I have a Camaro setting out back that's the goal is that I'm going to make it look like I have a real 1982 Camaro setting out back.
Wow.
That my goal is
Wow.
to make it look like the Gullwing. So
Okay. What color is it now?
it's red. It's
Okay.
yeah.
The same kind of red or a little bit different?
Well, it looks like crap right now because it's legitimately been sitting outside. I work on it when I
Oh,
can. I'm going to paint it
okay.
and do the whole 9 yards. But that's the goal. Down the road, maybe the next couple of years, I will have it look like a. Then I'm also trying to find a Mustang, and I think we're gonna paint it up to look like a cop car to look like from Transformers. So
Cool.
because I got it, my toys didn't get smaller; they got bigger.
Okay, great.
So I got to ask before I forget. Dream toy that you would love to make?
Dream toy?
Mm-hmm.
I guess it wouldn't be a toy, right? Because it is so big. A 1/18 scale F-14, a real one, not like what G.I. Joe has done with their Sky Striker. It's neither here nor there. Let's do a real, 1/18. The only other 1/18 that was done was by JSI. Aircraft enthusiasts would know this particular model. I'm not sure when it was done, but apparently the company went out of business. So not sure if making that item got them out of business, so it could be a taboo. But yeah, back in the day, there was this 1/18 scale F-14 by this company JSI, and it's really massive, but it was not as detailed as it should be. But then again, it was back in the day. So I am again, I'm not sure if I should be saying this and letting the cat out of the bag. The whole idea is that I think I want to do a dream project, which is the 1/18 scale F-14. There were customers asking for the 1/12 version because of our Ace of Aviation. Are we doing a 1/12 scale F-14? But that's really
That'd be massive.
It's really not I mean, it's not impossible, but it's just how do you ship it, right? How do you ship it? I mean, it's going to be as big as a fridge, right? So again, it's not impossible, but the cost, the limited number of people buying it, etc., etc., is going to be just such a massive, mammoth task, right? So let's look at 1/18 first, because 1/18 you can actually you can complement it as the G.I. Joe line or any other of your. There's quite a few 1/18 products and brands in the market now, like Higher doing 1/18 figures. So I think we can actually have a 1/18. Yeah, there we go. Joy Toy.
Joy Toy.
So yeah, so I think the idea is not totally insane. It's possible. And then if we can work it out, maybe get a license with Paramount to produce the first product as a crowdfund, Top Gun Tomcat. Yes, Mr. Cruz doesn't want his likeness, but there's apart from a pilot that has the helmet on, there's no likeness to a figure. So it's about the whole aircraft itself. I think it's going to be a massive project. It's going to be a dream project if I do pull it off. It's going to be incredibly detailed. is going to be better than the JSI, and it's going to be hopefully the pinnacle of an F-14 model the world has ever seen. That's the goal. That's the dream.
So what you should do is you come with different sticker packs so you can do the different.
No, not sticker packs. When you have something as premium as this, then it's all tempo printed.
Ooh,
No stickers. Everything is gonna be exactly as what you have. I mean, that is the centerpiece of any household. It can even be the coffee table. You can make a coffee table out of it. So that's the sort of thing. Yeah.
yeah, but it's because my son was in the Navy, and I went to the naval base in Chicago,
Hmm.
and I went there, and there is an F-14 setting there. It looks like Roy Foker's Valkyrie because it has the big skull and crossbones
Right.
on
The
the
VF-84
and
is the Joy Rogers.
yeah. And I wanted to take a picture of it, and I went to take my camera out, and they're like, "No!" So I couldn't get
Oh,
pictures of it because I was on a military base, and you can only take pictures in a lot of.
there we
I'm
go.
like, then you don't put the cool stuff out here for people to take pictures of, and then tell them they can't take pictures.
Yeah, yeah.
And my buddy was like, "What was it?" I was like, "Man," I was like, "I wanted a picture so it looked like I was standing next to Roy Foker's plane." But oh man, I, I'm a I'm a sucker for the to scale toys. Because what the Sky Striker's 2 foot. If that was
Hmm.
in scale, it'd be what, 3 foot
Yeah,
probably.
exactly. 118 skill.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's there. I like you said, there was a toy company. Geez, because I know they made 12-inch vehicles, and they made vehicles essentially for GI Joe size, and
Hmm.
I
Wow.
cannot remember, but they had high end military stuff, and it was really neat. But they kind of ended it at about maybe the Gulf War, so there was no new stuff at that point, if I
Okay.
remember right. So, uh, so I gotta ask, since you're coming to Ohio next weekend, have
Yes.
you ever been to Ohio?
Nope. First time.
I'm sorry. As somebody that's lived in Ohio their entire life, no, it's a good place. There's a lot of good stuff over in Columbus, a lot of good eats. If you ever get, if I'm sure you're going to get out and around, there's a lot of good restaurants over there. Um, but do you ever look at a toy, think, yes, this is what I want to make, but when you sit down, you just look at it and go, it's not happening. It's going to be too complicated. Um, just it, it's something you really want to do, but you just look at the logistics of it, and it's not feasible. Besides the airplane.
Yeah, which is why I only do stuff that I can do. So I wouldn't do something and then sit down and then say, oh, it's too difficult. If I do something, it's gonna be done.
Now,
Yeah.
with the Aces of Aviation, and have you just thought about making like essentially army builders, like just generic soldiers for like the 6-inch scale? Just you
Well,
know.
it's Aces of Aviation, so it's actually going to be featuring pilots. So we're doing, this pilot first, and
Mhm,
then we can probably move on once the the line stabilize in terms of getting back the costs. We can reinvest into making a different pilot because there's so many different pilots, right? The pilot that we're doing is actually very Navy centric, and 70s, 80s. Modern day pilots are of a different gear, a different helmet,
mhm.
right? So there is definitely room to grow. I'm not sure about army builders per se because I'm not sure how you army build a pilot,
Well, I'm
right?
I'm talking
Not
like if you were to, since you're doing the interchangeable pilots, have you
right.
ever thought about adding like a line of interchangeable just military?
Yeah, but it wouldn't be under the ASO Aviation brand.
Hmm.
It might be something else.
And
Yeah.
so the one that I would love to see is the maybe the Clint Eastwood from Firefox with the
Okay.
oh,
Okay. Yeah, there's lots of ideas like the Iron Eagle and stuff like that. So
yeah. Hey, I'm sure you probably get that stuff pitched at you all the time. Like, hey, make this.
yep.
So, um, with everything you got coming out right now, how much of it do you have ready for PowerCon next weekend?
Oh well, we got the Marshalls prototype, we've got the Aces prototype, we've got the test shot for the Racer. I would say 90%. Well, yeah, 90% is all there. We're gonna show off everything at the show. Yeah.
Now, people gonna be able to buy like, are you gonna have the '80s Commandos and anything currently
Yeah,
available?
so since it's a con for consumer, you got to buy stuff, right? And we hope to sell stuff because it's not cheap to fly over there.
No.
I didn't fly first class, by the way. It's just premium economy. So it's not cheap to get over there. So we need to get some sales. So we are actually selling some caps, right? Support us with some caps. We got the Master of the Verse hits. We've got the you know clear blue most powerful stand in the universe, exclusive to sell over there. And then, of course, importantly, we have the pre-orders. All right. Importantly, the Aces of Aviation's pre-order that you can only get at PowerCon and only during the PowerCon period is on our website, which is obviously the Mavericks hit, right? Of course, I can't call it the Mavericks hit. Again, it's going to be called the Ghost Rider giveaway bundle. We're giving it away, right? If you get the full wave of wave one, or the full set of wave one, you will automatically get the hit free, right? It's a giveaway. It's not for sale. It will not be available after the con. So anybody that said, "Oh, I missed it, can you sell it?" No, it's not going to be done. So PowerCon, you can get your friends to get it for you if they are going. If you cannot go to the PowerCon, your friends are not going, then the website is available, www.ramentoy.com. Only during the PowerCon period, 11th of August to 13th of August, both days inclusive. You can order. There's no limit to how many sets you can order, but it's only during that time. So we'll be selling that. And then I think that's the crux of it, right? The crux of it. And then you can also opt to purchase the Ramen Racer. If you look at the test shot, if you feel that you're comfortable, you can put down another payment for, I mean, the upfront payment for the Racer. We'll get your details, and once it's done, we'll ship it to you. Similarly for the Marshall, we're doing exclusive convention offers where it's like $80 shipped, right? So yeah, the Marshall is at $99.95 retail. We're doing a early bird at $69.95, but if you add shipping onto that, it's going to be another price. But at the con for the locals, and then again for the states, if you're buying it, if you're supporting the project, it's $80 ship. Just put on $80 for us. We'll get your details, and then once the Marshall is done, we'll ship it to your location in the States. And same thing for the Great White. Same thing for our other commanders. It's all going to be there, right? We're going to have the retro packaging 80s commanders. So far, we've only shared images of the naval commander because I've been so busy. I'm the one that takes pictures of all the products, so I had not been able to take the pictures of the Air Force commander and the naval and the armor commander prior to my trip to Shizuoka, Japan in May. So you can see how busy I was, May, June, July, I couldn't take the pictures, but finally I took the pictures, and the team is going to be putting that up on the website for orders. But again, if I'll be bringing the samples there, then if you want to get it, it's $200 for all three shipped. And then, we get the land drone and the Apache Commander again, $80 shipped, and obviously pre-orders for the Great White as well. So they have it. We're gonna have all the. Well, there's more information on my live stream that's coming up. I think in about more than 24 hours time. So about, yeah, around there. So yeah, sorry for this big rant on pricing and
No,
products
no,
to
no.
buy.
I was going to ask you all
But
about that
yeah,
stuff. I'm I'm a sucker. I believe that if you're going to push a product, at least give them some sort of suggested retail price, because I own a business and I see all these shows where they're like, oh, this is a new game that's out, and then people will call me up and go, hey, I want that game I saw online. I'm like, yeah, it's 149.99, and then they're like, yeah, I don't want that, and I'm like, so if they would have said on the show like, hey, this is kind of an expensive board game, it's $150, then it gives people heads up in advance.
right.
And I like when people do that. It's 100%. I was going to ask you if you had price points on any of this stuff, but you answered that
Yes.
question before I even asked.
Yeah.
Um, and like I said, your stuff is looking amazing. It definitely looks like, I want to say, like another wave of that toy line that we just now are getting 40 years later. And with the 80s Commandos, I have a lot of people who are always asking for Centurions on my show, and I can't air that. It's one show that they will not let me air. They shut it down.
Oh,
But what's funny is the ones that get past, the ones that they make money off of it because they put commercials in it and then they make money, where I just sat back here and just like, hey, I'm
mm,
advertising for free. Just go ahead and make your
mm.
money. Um, but they really, they fit it. It's Centurions, I think, were kind of forgotten, and now people are really going back and remembering them. And then they're like, well, I want to go find the toy, and the toys are stupid expensive because either
Yes.
A, you're carded, or you're getting one that's missing all the pieces. Then you got to find all the pieces. And now if you can just go buy a brand new one that's, what was it? What would it be? What would be wave 3 or something of the original line? You just go, it's the theoretical third wave of Centurions figures. And that's what we got for you. So now you can buy brand new ones and you don't have to spend $200 on a figure that might be missing a piece or two. So,
Yeah.
but like I said, they're really well done from what I can see. I'd love to see one in hand. I'm hoping to maybe see one in this week, next weekend, because I've been pushing your product on my show since
Thank
I
you.
first started seeing them. Because like I said, I show Brave Star, so I talk about the Marshall, I talk about the 3-0, I tell people where to find you. And people go, well, would you make any? I'm like, I'm not making any money off these people. I'm just telling you where to go get this stuff at.
That's right. Yeah.
Because it's bad that you're getting these nice product out, you're getting nice new product out, you're getting a custom toy essentially that can be put together with your original run of stuff. So you can have your 80s Commandos with your Centurions. You can put your Gull Wing and your Great White with your mask toys. You could put, your Aces of Aviation. You can put them with your GI Joe figures and stuff like that. As a kid from the 80s, that is still that makes me so happy, because you know we were kids and we got toy lines that did not mix, or they changed sizes for some odd reason, or He-Man suddenly changed completely in like its fifth wave, and it's not even compatible with the earlier waves. But you're going back and making a new toy compatible, and it's awesome. I'm praising you up one
Thank
side
you.
down the
Thank you.
other. So I can't help it, because it's good looking stuff. It's definitely got the 80s feel. It's definitely right in my you know fans market of what stuff they like. So I'm out there pushing it left and right. And if you ever watch any of my episodes, you can see me going, hey, make Brackstar or make
All right.
so. But I greatly appreciate it. I don't want to waste any more time, because you are
Oh no,
12
it's great.
hours ahead of me.
Yeah.
And so what I need you to do while you're already ahead of me, go get the lottery tickets for me tomorrow.
Will do.
So, no.
You
But
can
yeah,
get
hopefully,
the almanac. Yeah.
um,
Almanac. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
The Back
Um,
to the Future, the
yeah, the
record of
almanac,
all the, yeah, that's the,
the sports almanac. Yeah,
yeah, almanac.
go Back to the Future. And I don't know why I brain farted on that for some reason. um, but no, it's cool. Hopefully I'll get to see you guys next weekend. I'm fingers crossed. It's gonna be, if I make it, it's gonna be Sunday. So
Okay.
I'm going to try to sneak in.
All right.
Uh, but do you know what booth you're going to be at yet? So we
I
can
believe it's 246.
246, and
Yeah.
you'll be at the PowerCon in Columbus, Ohio,
Yes.
the weekend. Because this will drop on Monday, so it is this weekend.
Yeah.
This is dropping on Monday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You go to Columbus, go to PowerCon, go to Ramen Toys, and go put money down on a bunch of really cool toys. And that's all I can tell people.
Yeah. Thank you.
I I will advertise you until you stop making toys, probably.
Thank you. Thank you. And we'll keep making toys.
That's where people are at. They're like, so how long are you going to keep doing the cartoon show? I'm like, till I run out of cartoons. And then they're
Yeah.
like, what are you going to do then? I'm like, reruns. I don't know. I'm going to remix them so that they're not the same cartoons in order that I aired them the first time. Um, but before I go, I do have one probably big question. Do you ever think that you would do something in the Star Wars? Make a maybe not make a Star Wars toy, but make a vehicle that would be Star Wars esque.
Well, I guess never say never. Although yeah, let's just say never say never.
Never say
Let's put
never.
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I see so many of these people out there that do um, the fact is that I don't understand how Disney hasn't shut them down. The
Hmm.
ones that make exact duplicates of old stuff, and I'm like, how are you guys not getting shut down? And how are you charging $80 for a figure and not get in
Which is
trouble?
the good thing, right? Don't
Yeah,
don't shut them down. These are collectors and people passionate about the stuff, right? So don't shut
yeah,
them down. Yeah.
yeah. And the nice part about you is I'm not seeing you making anything that's exactly the same.
Oh no, that's really a knockoff.
Yeah.
That's a bootleg and a knockoff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's so many people that just go like, I can cast a mold from this pre-existing toy. I can do
Mm,
that, make a scene,
yeah.
or 3D print it, whatever whatever.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, sir, I greatly appreciate your time. Thank you for
Thank
doing the
you.
show. I will put all your contact information, your whatever you want me, like you want your Instagram, your website. Do you have any
Sure.
other
Yeah. Thank you.
sites that you need? Okay. I'll put those at the end of the show so people can contact you and get a hold of you and go buy cool toys. And hopefully you'll see him next weekend at PowerCon, or this weekend at PowerCon. And so I want to thank you a ton, sir. I appreciate it. For you're all the way over there in 12 hours difference. So thank you for taking time, and I hope to see you soon. So take care.
All right. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Pleasure's all mine.
All right.